Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Shoot. My name is Wayne Shada, and I am really honored to have the mother and author of Dana White, King of MMA, an Unauthorized Biography, the mother of Dana White, June White. First off, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and secondly, before we begin, no matter what people say about you as far as what kind of mother you are, a lot of people are very negative towards you. Thank you for giving birth to somebody who really gave so much to the sport. Without Dana White, who knows if the sport would have actually progressed,
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have.
So, I think the MMA community owes you a thank you for giving birth.
Oh, thanks.
So, I have a lot of respect for mothers. And so you have the book, Dana White, King of MMA, an Unauthorized Biography. I read the book. I highly recommend it to anybody, whether you want to believe all the things in the book or not. It definitely gives you a lot of insight as to your son, Dana. And I think it's the amount of stories. I mean, you go through, your pregnancy with Dana, your relationship with his husband, with your husband at the time. You talk about stories about how he dealt with his family, his relationship. I didn't even know he had a sister. I didn't know that Dana. Dana's very kind of close knit about and very hush hush about his family. I was so interested to hear some of the stories. If there's a story about how he was attacked by a dog, and he knew how he knew to kind of roll over and cover himself. I gained a lot of respect for Dana for defending your daughter, for people bullying her and etc. So the book I definitely think if you're an MMA fan, you will enjoy the book and learn a lot about the King of MMA. So first off, congratulations on writing a book. Not a very easy task.
Thank you. No.
So I do want to talk to you about the book, and I'm not going to give all the stories about the book because I think you guys should read it and check it out for yourselves. And definitely don't hear any secondhand information from other people. It's actually a pretty interesting book. I thought it was well written. First question I got to ask you, and all my questions that come from people that are fans, because I consider, you've done an interview as to why you did the book and et cetera. That in the past you've said that the reason why you wrote the book was because you didn't like the fact of the man he's become. Prior to the book, did you ever talk to Dana, try to work things out? You did say you didn't appreciate the way that he treated you. Did you ever try to talk things out with Dana prior to you writing the book?
Yeah, and Dana, Dana, once he's made up his mind on something, and that includes family and everyone, that's it for him, And I'm not even sure what the final thing was with him, between him and I, but, I called him. Even when his grandmother was sick, I called him. He never returned my phone calls. He didn't take my calls, Text him, email him, no response. So that's sort of his typical when he's, decided he's mad at someone or he's done with them.
I understand. So he's kind of from what you're saying is he pretty much will cut people out easily. Is that something he's known to do?
Exactly. That's it exactly.
Pretty interesting. Before you wrote the book, how long did you actually think about writing it? Ponder whether, really, did you have it in your mind? Was it an instantaneous thing? I should write a book about this? Or did you think about it for a long period of time?
Yeah, I've had people saying to me, who knew Dana, and some of them liked him, some of them didn't, that I should write a book about him, and let people know what his life was like and the kind of person he was and, has become and everything. And I toyed with it a little bit a few times, and then I just decided not to. And I had started to put a few things down, and then I said, I'm not going to bother with this. But then, when my mom got sick, that was what finally pushed me to go ahead and write the book.
So, contrary to what people believe, this is not something you got angry and you needed money and you said, you know what, Dana's my cash cow. I'm going to write the book. You thought about this prior to, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people, that's all they say is, oh, she's doing it for the money. She's, I didn't even know when the comment came out, oh, Eminem. I'm like, what the hell is that? I had to go online and look it up. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? But yeah. So, I mean, I didn't do it for money, but now I wanted to get it seriously, to get out there and to sell, you know, like you said, it's not a bad book. It does give a lot of insight into who he was, and that was another reason that, you know, there were a lot of stories out there about what a horrible life he had growing up as a child, you know, and if you read the book, that's actually not true at all, so.
What is the response from your family about this book? Were some of them upset? Did they agree with you? Did you lose anybody as far as relationship, break any relationships, anything like that, your family?
No, my family was fine with it. Besides Dana and I not speaking, he doesn't speak with most of his family. So, you know, I mean, they didn't have any issues with it. And I mean, everything I wrote, they felt was, you know, pretty much the truth. So they said, I don't know why the book even bothers them. You know, they thought it wasn't that bad, you know, and that everything in it was basically true, what I had said.
Okay. And do you think Dana read the book?
I don't know. I guess someone asked him that, and he said no, he wouldn't even bother with it. So, you know, I would think he would be curious enough that he might, but it's hard to say.
Now, so obviously, you know, I pay attention to a lot of people's Twitters and what they've written about you, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is negative. I mean, has anybody in the street confronted you, or anybody ever come up to you and say, you know, why'd you write this book in person? Have you dealt with that yet?
No, I haven't, and I am gonna, the end of this month, February, like February 25th, I don't want to, MMA South Florida, they're having an expo, and I'm actually going to go down there and sell the book and sign some. So I guess that will be my first experience in the public to see if someone has something negative and nasty to say to my face.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of keyboard warriors, and I'm sure that just having you on here is probably going to give me a couple of hateful tweets. But, you know, everybody has their own opinion. Unfortunately, obviously, Dana would never do this interview with you. So, you know, and I take everything, I'm trying to be as objectful as possible, you know, with this interview. You know, obviously, you know, Dana might have a different viewpoint as to why certain things happen in his life. But nonetheless, do you regret it, though? Because I just mentioned, you know, there's a lot of negative publicity about the book. Do you regret it, especially the fact that you used the term Rosemary Baby? For those who don't know, you call him kind of like the son of Satan. When I read that, I'm not going to lie to you. When I read it, I cringed, you know? And you know,
Yeah.
You're Catholic, I'm Christian.
Yes.
I kind of cringe just the thought of it, you know. Do you regret saying that, or regret writing the book because of all the negativity that's kind of surround the book?
No, and I think people just took that part wrong. You know, what I was trying to say is that I was as sick as, you know, she had been in the movie, Mia Farrow, and, you know, when he came in, I said, you know, we're Irish Catholic background, and we all have blue-green eyes, you know, and he opened his eyes, and they were just as black as could be, you know. I mean, they were dark. I was like, oh my God, you know. Plus, I was 19 years old, so
Okay, so
I looked at those eyes and thought, oh my God.
so can we go on record and say he is not the son of Satan? Can we go on record saying that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So that contradicts everything. You know, as far as the sales, how the sales of the book go, how overall the numbers, if you don't mind. I mean, obviously you don't want to go into business. How's the response of the book in sales?
It's been slow. I have little periods where it gets a push, and I might get a push now after this interview. But it's slow, and, I found the biggest reason was because of all the negative press from a lot of the MMA sites. One of them I'm really sort of disappointed and upset in is Cage Potato. I mean, every time they write anything about the book or me, it's really very nasty and negative. They don't know me. They didn't read the book. Why would you do that? Except they're trying to suck up to Dana. If Dana's mad at his mom, then I'll bash her and maybe I can get in good with him, So that's the feeling I get when I see that. But it does affect people's perception. I've seen people online go, when someone writes something like that, well, should I buy it? What do you think? So I'm surprised at how much it does affect it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, some people are, well, the fact is Dana, and this is publicly known, and he admits it himself, Dana is really, when it comes to press credentials, he's a big bully, when it comes to that. I mean, in person to the fans, your son's actually a really nice guy. I have zero problem. I actually like your son. I've had several dealings with him, and he's always been very nice and cordial to me. And I've seen him sign autographs for hours on end. So I haven't really personally. I have nothing negative to say about him. And unfortunately, I hate to see a mother-son relationship kind of be strained. I think it's a real sad thing, but nonetheless, it is what it is. And not everybody has the picture perfect family on TV, So that leave it, leave it to Beaver type of.
Hey, that's it. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, Cleaver.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so,
and I've said that too. This wasn't about Dana and bringing MMA to where it is. And I could never say anything bad about him with the fans. He's always been really good to his fans and catered to them and everything. So, yeah, he's done well in both those areas. I can't bash him or say anything bad about him at all about that.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you more what your thoughts are on MMA. What was it like being there in the early days of the UFC? You mentioned in the book that you went to several different events. You and your family would fly to different events. You kind of saw everything happen because Dana and yourself had a very close relationship. And so I guess, and money changes people. It does. And, that goes with everything, obviously if the more money you have, the more, entitlement sometimes people may feel. But what was it like in the early days of the UFC?
It was tough for him in the early days. Although, myself and my family, when we do it, like the first 4 years, I went to most of the fights, just about all of them. And there was a group of us that actually were there. There were a few people who actually had been going to UFC fights since UFC 1. And we got to know them, and they'd be at all the fights as well. And it was kind of fun for us to go, And back then, the guys that were fighting, I don't know if it's just me these days or, guys don't like Randy and Chuck and Tito, Jens Pulver. All these guys were around for years. They didn't come in and have 3 or 4 fights and be gone. And so, you really became sort of a fan of certain ones, loved to see them fight. And, the matches were great. Some of those matches, seeing them in person were unbelievable because you can watch it on TV and it's just so. But some of those big fights with Randy and Chuck and Tito, oh my God, the place was electric. I mean, you could feel it even before their fight came on. Even some of the undercards were great fights. And then once they came in, I mean, the place just exploded and it was fun. And then there was the after fight parties and, so it was a good time.
And you had, is it safe to say you had like full privileges to going around and to all the parties and stuff? Did you, anything interesting with the Fertittas? How was your relationship with the Fertittas?
I don't have a real big relationship with them at all, actually.
None whatsoever. I know. He met them in high school. Did you
Yeah.
deal with them? Did you meet them when they were younger in their high school days, or?
No, actually, I didn't. You
Oh,
know, Dana didn't really hang around with them in high school. He knew them from high school. And Lorenzo, I don't know if Lorenzo was in the same grade or a grade ahead of him, but he didn't really hang out with them back then.
okay, okay. What were your favorite fighters back then? I know you mentioned Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture. Any other guys that um, you enjoyed watching fight in person?
Yeah, I like Jens. I thought he was really good. And I can't believe the other guy's name just went right out of my head. Um, oh, gee, the jiu-jitsu, Eve Edwards.
Okay,
I
yeah,
love to watch Eve fight. Yeah,
right. Um,
he was great. Randy was my favorite. I just thought he was such a sweetheart, and Mr. Captain America. That's who he was.
yeah.
So I liked him.
Did you ever get to meet with those fighters? What were their reaction? If you did, were there any reactions to you? Like, were they nice to you, being that you're the boss's mother? Anything like
Yeah.
that?
No, they're just sort of, I think, probably the same way they treat everyone else. Although I think I put in the book a story about Tito when him and Dana were really tight, coming by my house to pick me up, and we were going out to breakfast. And then Chuck came up with one of his son one time with Dana and his two boys up to the beach house, and they were here for 4 days or something and hung out. Actually, Chuck was really pretty quiet when he was here. He's kind of a quiet guy. I
Really?
don't think he is when he's with the other guys,
Uh-huh.
but
There it is. Are you still a fan of the sport, MMA?
yeah, I just watched the free fights, and then I watched the Lesnar one because I was interested to see how he did.
Mhm.
I really felt sorry for him because I could see the minute he got that kick, I could see really, I thought it was fear in his face
Mhm.
that, that surgery he had. I've had that in the past, so I kind of sympathized with him there. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm sure he's thinking something just ruptured in his belly again or
Mhm.
something, and he couldn't go through that again. And then the free ones, they were okay. But I was just saying to somebody today about it. Maybe it's me or maybe there's too many. I think there's too many fights now.
Really?
But that they just, yeah, they don't seem as exciting. Before when you had to wait for them, it was like one every 2 months. You were building up to it. And like I said, it was guys who had been around for a long time, and so you had your favorites, you had people you followed. Now someone can be in there for 3 fights and be gone, so it's kind of hard.
Mhm. Mhm. Is there a favorite fight that you have?
Uh, no, I don't think so.
Nothing, huh? Um,
No.
do you say you're still a fan of MMA now? Any fighters currently that you're fans of? That you're a fan of?
No, not like I was with those guys back in the day. It sounds like I was so far ago.
Hmm. So what are your thoughts on now you mentioned that your son's done a great job. What do you think of the fact that they're on Fox, they're in prime time, um, they're getting more mainstream coverage? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I find it interesting, and there's a lot of comments about that and everything, and that Dana's going to have to change his ways with Fox, and that Fox is going to expect it of him. And I think the people that are saying that are right. I'm pretty sure they're going to start reining Dana in, and not wanting to see the old Dana that I think a lot of the fans loved,
Hmm.
the sort of, as they would put it, colorful Dana.
Right, right.
Yeah, Fox doesn't need that, and I'm sure they probably don't want it. And I thought that the ESPN thing that Lorenzo did the interview, I think in the past that would have never happened. You would have seen Dana go off on one of his blogs,
Mm.
like a crazy man screaming and swearing at them and everything. But instead, they kind of put him in the background, sort of, tied him in the corner and said, Lorenzo, get out there and handle this.
Yeah, well,
So I think it's kind of telling as to where they may go with Fox now.
yeah. And so you're thinking that your son's going to have to be a little bit tamer I mean, he did calm things down. It seems like he sent out the olive branch to my friend Bloodstained Lane. I don't know. You mentioned him. He's a good friend of mine, and he did the whole ball bozo. He took a picture. I don't know if you follow him,
Oh,
the
I
vlogs.
saw that the other day.
So
I did.
so do you watch his vlogs, and do you still keep up with your son? I mean, I know you don't have a relationship, a strong relationship. Do you follow him on Twitter, or do you?
Yeah, on Twitter, now he blocks me on Twitter.
Does he?
He blocks anyone who follows me too.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes I'll be on Twitter and I'll be looking at something, and they'll have some little bit there, and I click on it, and that's actually, I think that was where I saw that one, just the bozo thing, and Dana mentioned Bloodstain, and the only reason I knew Bloodstained Lane was because right after the book came out, he did one of his little blogs about it, and I didn't know who he was, and someone sent it to me, a friend of mine. They said, have you seen this? And I took one look at him, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not even sure if I want to watch this, Yeah. But after I watched it, it was pretty funny, and he had found the CD of Rosemary's Baby, and with the whole thing I thought was pretty funny. He said, I'm going to be Dr. Phil between Dana and his mom. So, yeah.
So,
yeah, I thought he had a good sense of humor for it.
That's great. So hopefully, do you ever see yourself mending fences, or mending the I guess getting a relationship with him? I mean, he did. I know it's far from something with Bloodstained Lane, but do you ever see yourself having a good mother-son relationship?
Well, I don't know. Just because I know Dana and the way he is, I would certainly like to. I think it won't be the same as it was before. But, the other thing, too, is even if we don't, I still would like to see my grandkids. They're growing up fast, and I just think it's wrong to put them in the middle of it. So Dana doesn't want to talk to me, so be it. But, let me see the grandkids. Let them see me. Yeah. That doesn't hurt anyone.
Are you a little resentful of the sport because of that? Would you say that MMA was part of a good reason why you don't have that relationship with your son?
No. Obviously, I don't know. There's something that must have been there, that I didn't see all along, that, he would, as his money and power grew, that, he would become like this. It was a big surprise to me. I used to tell him all the time, keep your feet on the ground, remember where you came from, who your friends were when you had nothing. And he would always say to me, Mom, don't worry, that's never going to happen to me, Now he doesn't talk to his family, doesn't talk to any of his old friends. So, yeah, it's kind of sad, and I never saw that in his personality before,
Understood. Well, is there anything about the sport that you do hate as far as a fan?
No, in my house when we were growing up, my dad was a huge boxing fan, so we had boxing on in the house all the time. So yeah, I don't have any problems with the sport at all.
As far
it's too bad.
And what about the judging, the refereeing, anything like that?
Yeah, the last fight there, Bisbane, I thought he lost, and I was very surprised at all the people that were saying the judges were wrong. Even Dana said the judges were wrong. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's their job, and if that's the way they saw it, it doesn't matter who you are sitting there watching it. That's their decision. That's what they're there for. So, I mean, and I'm sure once in a while there's a mistake made, but I'm sad to see a lot of the guys getting caught doing steroids. That's a shame.
Yeah. Before I give you my last question, I just want to thank you again for doing this. I'm really, really honored that you came on, and I'm really, really privileged to say I spoke to Dana White's mother. And I think you're a really nice lady. I think you're misunderstood. I think everybody needs, instead of just reading the excerpts, because they'll see the Rosemary's Baby thing, and they'll see a lot of different quotes. Read the book, get a full picture of what's going on. And you can find it on Amazon.com and all the major retailers. Do you have a website or anything that you want to plug before I ask this last question?
Yeah, I have a new website actually. It's MMADanaWhite.com,
Right.
and you can go on there and just click on to buy the book, and it gives a little more information and pictures and things on there. So, yeah, we put that up a little while ago. We had to change something on it, so
Okay.
it's back out there now.
Right. And speaking of change, now that everything's gone, the book is already out there. Would you change anything that you've done? I know no mother is perfect. My own mother, I love my mother to death, but you know, she'll never say she's perfect. Although I think she may have done a good job. I know you worked a lot of hours. You said I think 80 to 100 hours a week is what you plan. You say in your book. Is there anything that you would change if you had to?
As far as raising him, or no, you know, I mean, I really think Dana had a good life. I worked very hard to give him that, you know, just because we were poor when we were kids growing up. So, and you always say it, you know, I want my kids to have more than I ever had, you know, so, and that's what it was, you know, and I had to do it. His dad was sort of not a very good person, and, you know, I could have just gone on welfare and raised him like that. So, but, you know, I decided the only thing I could do was, you know, go back to school because I was a high school dropout. And I will tell every kid out there, do not drop out of high school. It will pay for it in the long run. I spent half my life going back to school. But then I worked a ton of hours, too. So, I mean, we had a nice house. They went to private school. You know, they did all the things. I mean, I only learned to ski when they did.
Right.
I had never been skiing before, so.
Well, thank you once again very much for doing this show. Everybody should check out the book Dana White, King of MMA, an unauthorized biography. Definitely a must read if you're a fan of MMA. If you're just want to find out anything about Dana White, about his life, it's definitely worth the money. Once again, thank you very much. I'm really honored that you did this. So long, ironforgezion.com. Check it out. And keep up to date with June on Twitter. You want to mention your Twitter handle? If you don't mind getting blocked by Dana White.
Yeah, it's June White MMA.
Definitely check it out. You'll definitely get to, and you're pretty good about talking to people on there, so responding to people, so which is pretty admirable. So thank you very much. So long. Goodbye.
Thank you.